Hey there, dear friends. Good to be back with you once again. Your loyal friend here, once again, Marvin. Thanks for coming across this YouTube channel. I'm thrilled to be with you. Today, I want to discuss something very, extremely sensitive. Today, I want to talk about bestiality. But as I do that, please do subscribe. We need more subscribers on board to come support this work. Do subscribe. Thanks for your likes and your comments and your participation. Even though lately I've been receiving quite a lot of fire from quite a number of people, and I've had to silence some people and warn some people because sometimes people just go offline when it comes to contributions via commentary and things like that. So please, I request that when we do take part in comments and things like that, and I know that we most likely will always have different views on different things, but there's no need for us to be having beef with each other. No. I believe that in this world, people differ all the time, but there must be a way to express those differences, to express differences of opinions. Doesn't matter how hot the subject might be. So today is a very sensitive one, and I say this ahead of time because I know that this will unruffle some furthers. All right. So today I want to talk about bestiality. Now, I wanted to talk about this in light of news that came through about a week ago. I think this happened on the 8th of August, which is this month, where a zoologist and crocodile expert was arrested for animal abuse and bestiality. All right. This is extremely disturbing. It's disturbing on many fronts, and I'm going to explain some of those reasons why it's extremely disturbing. And one of the things that I want to say right from the onset is that people that are involved in bestiality sometimes are even found around children, around young, innocent people. And so this is why I think that we need to take this issue very seriously. In my own observation, from the little that I've seen, bestiality is actually more common than we think it is. And so I've been asking myself, why is it that these telltale signs are always there, but people aren't paying attention, people aren't raising alarms? All right. And so some of these things that I'm sharing will help you. Some of you will help to keep your kids safe. And I've had to have conversations over friends of mine who have children to kind of warn them and get them as well to spread the warning that these things are common in our communities, and we just ignore the signs that we are shown that these things are happening. And today I want to take us through some of the signs that show us that bestiality could be just around the corner and it might get to our children. That some knucklehead that is sleeping around with dogs or animals could come around our kids. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sharing this. Bestiality is more common than we think it is. But let me read you the story that provoked this video for me. Why this story led me into doing this video. So this guy here, his name is Adam Britton. So he was arrested and pleaded guilty to the crimes that he was charged with. So let me just read a little bit of this so you see how serious this is. So the headline says, zoologist and croc expert from BBC, this is BBC, and Nat Geo sentenced after pleading guilty to bestiality. All right. So it says, disturbing details revealed at sentencing of Adam Britton, who appeared alongside David Attenborough. Now, David Attenborough is a wildlife commentator that I've enjoyed for years. And so you can imagine, I don't even want to get into it, but yeah. So he appeared alongside David Attenborough and others for years as an animal expert, where he was imprisoned for a staggering number of animal abuse charges in an 18-month span prior to his arrest. So for a period of about 18 months, this guy was involved in gruesome acts. So he says horrific and disturbing details were revealed at the sentencing hearing of Adam Britton, a former zoologist and crocodile expert who appeared on BBC and Nat Geo programs alongside David Attenborough and others, revealing dozens of instances of abusing dogs across an 18-month span. Now, you can read the rest of this. I don't know how much I have to read, but you can read the rest of this article. It's available on so many different internet platforms. So it further says that the renowned zoologist who received praise for his work on various nature programs over the years has been sentenced to 10 years and 5 months in prison for the rape, torture, and killing of many dogs, as reported by Sky News. All right. He was banned. He was also banned for life from purchasing any animals or having them on his property per local media, and will not be eligible for parole for 6 years per Australia's ABC. His sentence was backdated. We don't need that. So Thursday's sentencing comes after Britton pleaded guilty to 56 charges of bestiality and animal cruelty at the Supreme Court in the Northern Territory in September 2023. All right. Now, can you imagine this? This is a part I want to read. It says that Chief Justice Michael Grant excused court officers during his sentencing remarks due to details of Britton's offenses, saying they might cause nervous shock or some other adverse psychological reactions. Now, this is part of the reasons why I'm sharing this, because for some reason, social media has become very liberal. Or maybe it has always been liberal and I just didn't notice because I wasn't so much on social media. But now I'm on social media a lot because I'm doing research and finding out things, and I'm involved in YouTube productions. So maybe I'm a lot more. So maybe I just didn't know that these things were always there. But one of the things I've found disturbing lately, and this is now, and I'm doing this now to now start taking you through the red flags and the signs that actually show that something fishy could be going on. Because my proposition is that these things are going on all around us, and the signs are there, but we ignore the signs because they're small little things. And I've said before that personally I take interest in small things. I pay attention to little details that people often don't pay attention to, just ignore. It's just a little thing. So, and in this particular case, I'm talking about things like people kissing a dog. And I'll talk about that in a little detail. And somehow, after living in America now for a few years, is when I've seen this, how prevalent this thing is, of one kissing a dog. And I've always asked myself, why do people need to kiss a dog? And initially I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm just backward because I'm from Africa. You know, in Africa, you don't see people doing things like that. And this is a reality. So maybe I'm just a backward person. But I said to me, no, wait. I said to myself, no, wait. There has to be something deeper to this. This means something. And so I started having conversations with friends, and friends would shoot me down saying, Marvin, you just think too much. And obviously, you know, and people will try and convince you this is a modern world, people are liberal here and whatever, so they're in lifestyles that you don't understand and things like that. It's just part of culture shock and things like that. And I said to myself, okay, yeah, maybe, I guess they're right. You know, I guess I just need to wake up to the fact that I'm in a different world where people are more modern, you know, and there's things that they do that are part of life, you know. But then it still didn't stop bothering me. It still was biting my conscience. I said, no, I need to look into this because this to me doesn't look normal. All right. But before I continue with that, let me finish reading up a few things that I need to read on this article. So it says, so those crimes as detailed in court were described by Grant as grotesque and unspeakable. Okay. So they included the torture and sexual exploitation of 42 dogs and the deaths of 39 dogs in a shipping container he dubbed his torture room. This guy, I don't know. So apparently this article actually explains, like you can read it on your own, but it explains that he actually even took dogs from other people to take care of them. For some, maybe they were going away on vacation and they needed to leave their dog with somebody to take care of them for like a week or 2 weeks. And this is how these dogs ended up in his hands, either dead or sexually abused and raped and things like that. So my issue is this. This is huge. It's big. This guy didn't just start doing this overnight. So how did the details of how he got to this place, how did those details escape the scrutiny of authorities and even just other people around him, like people in the neighborhood, in the community? How did no one notice that this guy was involved in this? For example, I mean, we're told he worked with David Attenborough. How did David miss out on the signs that this guy could be involved in something deeper? How did that happen? And in my own assessment, I could be wrong. I stand to be corrected, which is why, when I do YouTube presentations like this and videos, I ask for help from you that are watching. Make your comments, contribution. Help me out here. Let's learn together, all right? Because I might be making wrong conclusions. So, how were these small details missed out? And as far as I'm concerned, I think that we miss out on the telltale signs by ignoring the small little things that people do with these animals. That's what I think. So which brings me back to a point I was making earlier on about people kissing a dog. And these things are all over social media. People put them there. I don't know whether I don't know what it is. Whether it's a fashion fad, not fashion fad, I beg your pardon. Whether it's a fad or, I don't know. It's just a cool thing to do, I don't know. But these things are common. And when I saw this story last week, I kind of wanted to ignore it. But then, on 2 occasions, when I went on social media, I think it was TikTok, I wanted to look for certain footage. And I said, I need to look up this and see, just to get more information and statistics and things like that. And as soon as you turn onto that social media platform, I don't know if you know this, but TikTok is one of those platforms where when you open it up, there's already a video that's already playing. You don't have to touch it or do anything. It's already playing in the background. And so on about 2 occasions, as soon as I opened it up, there was this image of a woman kissing a dog. And one of those first ones that I saw was this woman was sitting in a living room with apparently her husband. And the dog is in between them. The husband is doing something, either I think he was stroking the dog or something. And the dog is facing the woman and kissing the woman on the lips. And I'm like, what? And those are the kinds of things that a lot of friends have told me, Marvin, in this part of the world, people are modernized and things like that. So they do things that to you might not look okay. And I've argued and I've said, but this is extreme. And I know that different cultures do different things that other people from different cultures may not understand. It's like culture shock to them. But this, for me, speaks something that needs to be given attention. And my friends, and these when I talk about these friends, I'm talking about friends from Africa, friends that come from where I come from, who say, no, my friend, we've lived in this country a long time. You're new here. You don't understand the people here and things like that. So they'll kind of play it down like that. So I would leave it alone, but still come back to it. So one time I spoke to a friend and I said, look, I think you need to pay attention to this. And his response obviously was like, look, even in Africa, dogs behave like this. They lick you on the leg and things like that. But I said, no, but kissing a dog deliberately, intentionally is a different thing. It took him time to pay attention and come back to me and said, you know what, Marvin, I think you're making a valid point. And I said, this is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. This suggests something deeper. We can't ignore this. And so he also started looking into it. And then as I spoke to more friends, where they even started finding videos on YouTube, they would find videos such as maybe a woman posts a video where a dog is licking her around the thighs. And they started getting back to me and said, but you know what, I think you're raising a very important point here. Because why would a woman post a video on YouTube or social media of a dog licking her around the thighs? And it's even around the groin. Why would anybody do that? And here's another interesting thing. And I hope this doesn't make me sound like I'm just being biased. But a lot of these videos, and these friends of mine have confirmed this, it's usually, if it's not white people, it's people that almost look like they're white. It would be Latinos, Indians, Asians, and things like that. And I'm going to explain what that means somewhere around, before I stop, I finish the presentation. And so they now started paying more attention. And then, as we looked up for more information in terms of what is this behavior. Now, personally, one of the reasons why I have problems with it, initially, it was just the hygiene. I'm like, how hygienic is this? Because I just don't get it. I don't think that an animal, or a dog especially, is a clean animal. And I'll give you the reasons why. So, as I looked more into this, an incident happened. So, I was picking up, this is a real story. I was picking up groceries at Walmart in Chicago. So, I park in the delivery spot where I'm expecting agents to come bring the package to my car. So I sit in my car. So normally at this delivery point or pickup point, people park in the parking lot. You see several cars parked there, and the agents come out, they bring the parcels to the people, or whatever package they're picking up, they bring it to the car. So I'm parked in my slot, in my spot, and then there's a spot next to me that is empty, and next after that is a car where there's this white woman with a dog inside. And everything is just normal. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I noticed that this dog in the car, all of a sudden, is looking agitated. You know what a dog does when something catches its attention. So the ears go up, and it's, kind of just looking like something is going on. It's looking around and just looking edgy. And I'm like, why is that dog behaving that way? And before you know it, the dog jumps from its seat, because initially this woman is sitting in a spot in the driver's seat, waiting for the agent to come to the car, and the dog is sitting there still, just looking through the window. And then all of a sudden, the dog is looking agitated and comes closer to the woman. So she sits on the dog sits on the console, facing the woman. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, so obviously something. This dog is disturbed by something. And all of a sudden, this dog starts licking the lips of the woman. And I'm sitting there thinking, this doesn't look appropriate. And now in my mind, I'm thinking about these conversations I've been having with people, really trying to blow the whistle. Like, look, guys, this thing is a problem. This is not just kissing. So I'm looking at the dog and I'm thinking, please, you're not going to do that in front of me. But she goes ahead and kisses this dog, and the dog is licking on the lips. And I'm thinking, this is just going to be for a brief moment. But it persists for a few minutes. I'm like, no, this doesn't look normal. And immediately, because for me, that is just, I don't want to use a bad word. And I'm thinking, no, I think I need to do something. Either I need to get out of the car and tell this woman, you can't be doing this in front of me. But then I'm thinking, who am I to stop her? She has rights to do whatever she wants. So now I'm confused. And then my conscience is telling me, this is worse than you think. But then also my mind is going back to what people have been telling me to say, you just think too much, you read too much into things. So now my mind is battling. Which is it? Am I right or are they right? And then all of a sudden, this kissing gets intense. And I'm trying not to look. And all of a sudden, instinctively, I just picked up my phone and started recording her. Because I said to myself, I think I probably maybe need to call the police and tell them, look, she can't be doing this in public. Because it wasn't looking appropriate. She didn't even see that I was recording her. And then I'm thinking she's going to stop. She didn't stop. The dog is now licking her on the chest, around her neck, everywhere. And this is a scene where you can see this woman isn't looking like she's irritated or it's just a normal thing that happens. She looks like it's affecting her. That she's becoming erotic. You could clearly see it. And I'm thinking, at some point she's going to stop. She doesn't stop. The dog continues. And I'm thinking, oh my God, am I seeing this with my own eyes? And then all of a sudden from nowhere, the dog disappears. The dog disappears. And I'm like, so I'm thinking, where did the dog go? The dog disappears, and obviously, it was obvious the dog was now in between her legs. And how I know is you could see from how she positioned herself. This woman is looking up in the sky. And I can't tell you everything else. That's why I told you this video is graphic. Because graphic I'm not showing you pictures, but explaining these things to you is graphic. And you could see, when you see a person being sexually aroused, you can tell by the expression. You can tell by their facial expression. And you could see this woman was sexually aroused because of how she's sitting in the car, how she's contorting her body. You could see she's trying to say, hey, control yourself. But she cannot control the dog. Now, thank God, an agent came out from Walmart and somehow she was able to get the dog under control. But even the Walmart agent himself must have noticed something was going on in that car. But obviously he had no right to claim anything. He's got no evidence. And while I was there, if the agent had not come out in that moment, I would have called the police on this woman. So I went to my friends and I spoke to them and I told them what happened. And they were shocked. So now I've seen this with my own two eyes, and people have been arguing with me. So what am I trying to tell you? There are all these signs around us of this inappropriate behavior between human beings and animals. And you keep wanting to play it down as, oh, they're just being playful. Oh, it's just one of those things. Oh, this is normal. And personally, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of the behaviors that we see with people that keep dogs in the house, kissing the dog, wrapping your arms around, sleeping with the dog in the bed, all of these things. These are red flags. These are red flags. Now, in America, for example, there are 4 states where bestiality is not illegal. In the United States, bestiality is illegal. But there are 4 states that don't have laws that prohibit bestiality. And those are New Mexico, Wyoming, Hawaii, and West Virginia. So, looking at that, personally, I sit back and I think to myself, well, how would you say that bestiality is not legal or is prohibited in a country where some places it's allowed? Because people who live in states where there are laws against bestiality simply have to go to the states where it's legal and do it there. So it means it's not legal in the country. It's not illegal in the country, technically, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, that aside. So looking at all of these things, I want to get to some things that I think we need to take into consideration when it comes to this kind of behavior. And a lot of them, the things that I've told you about, you will find these things widely published on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. So to me, why those things are not considered red flags, why authorities have to wait until a man has been involved in things like this, to me, it just makes me wonder. Because the signs have already been given there. The signs are all over the place that people could be doing this. Doing things that we can't even imagine. All right? And then also my other concern as well is people who have this lifestyle find themselves around kids. We should be concerned about that. Not just because you're African or whatever it is. But every single person who cares about morality should be concerned about this. Now, earlier on I talked about how these things are more prevalent among white people and other communities that are like whites. Let me put it that way. I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say here. We're talking about races that almost look like they're white people, that have cultures that are close to white people. where there's this liberalism, if you like, freedom, if you like, free lifestyles, the free sex lifestyle and things like that. For example, in Mexico, I've heard so many stories, and I have Mexican friends who have confirmed that they have what they call donkey show, where people have sex with dogs, and it's a public show that people go and watch. So it's things like that. It's things like that. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I've had Mexican friends. I actually work with a Mexican friend who has told me that this story is true. All right? So you start to wonder, why aren't these things regarded as red flags? Why don't people realize that these things lead to crazy things such as what we see in this case? Why is that? Why would you not expect people to express themselves with such atrocities if they've been given a platform like that, for example? Or this liberalization of having dogs in bed, sleeping with a dog in the bed. Guys, a dog is a sexual being. It's a sexual being. And going into bed with it. Now look, I can't say people should not do it. I cannot say that. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a price to pay for this. That's what I think. I think that there's a very, very, very big price to pay for this. But anyway, there's a lot to say about this. Let me get to some issues that for me are concerning, especially when it comes to hygiene. Because even if you're not looking at the sexual behavior around this subject of people, living a certain way with a dog, or the lifestyle of the dogs, being with them in bed and showering with the dogs and things like that. But there's also a concern of hygiene. And maybe let me focus on this. So let's just talk about the cleanliness or hygiene surrounding a dog. Now, from what I know, the little that I know, a dog, and some of this information I've confirmed even by looking up different materials and articles and things written by veterinarians who confirm some of the things, the anxieties I have. All right. So, for example, you look at the dog's nose or the snot. All right. The dog's nose, the dog is always drooling. There's always mucus coming through the nose of a dog. And the way the dog keeps itself clean is by using the tongue. It rolls the tongue on the nose to get the mucus off or clean itself up. So why does a human being think that kissing the mouth or the tongue of a dog is hygienic? I don't know. Help me out here, because this is part of the reason why I struggle to understand that behavior. This dog consistently licks its nose to clean itself up. Human beings blow their nose. When we shower or clean ourselves, we wring our fingers into the nose to pull out the boogers and things like that. We run water through the nose to clean it up and then dry it up. Maybe some people use towels, some people use toilet paper or different things to clean up the nose, because the nose is always running with dirt and mucus, if you like. And the dog does that by licking the nose consistently. I've even seen a video on YouTube where a woman is feeding her baby in front of a dog, and the dog is licking the baby in the mouth. I don't know. And this video was forwarded to me by a friend who initially was resisting my ideas or my anxieties about this dog lifestyle. So he sent me this video, said, look at this video I just came across. This woman is letting the dog lick her baby in the mouth. And incidentally, there's even a video, an ad that I see very, very often on American TV, where this dad is feeding the baby. I think the baby is a few months old, maybe 8 months, maybe 1 year, or maybe a few months. So this baby he's feeding this baby, and the baby's mouth is all spoiled, of course, food debris all around. So he gets up to look for something to clean the mouth, to wipe the mouth of the baby. And there's a dog sitting there next to the baby. So as soon as he gets up to pick up something to use to clean the baby's mouth, he comes back. Now, they don't show the dog licking the mouth of the baby. But when he comes back, he sees that the baby's mouth is clean. And he wonders, how did that happen? He looks at the dog, and the dog has some of the food around the mouth. So obviously suggesting the dog licked the mouth of a baby and cleaned the baby. And then he looks at the dog and he says, oh, that works. And I'm thinking, what? That works? He says, that works. But you see, these are the things that, for me personally, I look at it and I'm thinking, because I'm looking at that from a hygiene point of view. How can that be right? Now, obviously, maybe I'm just a backward person. I'll admit that. But if this is for the purpose of hygiene, I'd rather be a backward person. To be honest. To be honest. But my point is this. I would like to think that it's from little things like that that people build up into a certain behavior with animals. Because in my thinking, if you can allow a dog to lick you in your mouth, or kiss you in the mouth, or do a French kiss with the dog, what else would you not do with a dog? See, that's my issue. If you can allow a dog, or if it's right for a person to do French kissing with a dog, then where else would the dog not be allowed to use its tongue? Where? And already I've told you, there are videos on YouTube that you can see for yourself, where women post videos of a dog licking them around their thighs. And the thighs of a person, especially a woman, is a symbol of sexuality. So even when those videos are posted, they have insinuations of sex, whether you like it or not. So you wonder, why would a person in their normal frame of mind be promoting that kind of behavior? Why? But anyway, continuing with the aspect of hygiene, I've read up a number of articles written by veterinarians who have confirmed that dog saliva often carries bacteria. They confirm this. I'm not a scientist or veterinarian, but veterinarians actually confirm, and you can find these articles online. They confirm that dog saliva always carries, but not always, often carries bacteria. All right? But even if the saliva of a dog did not carry bacteria, why would anybody enjoy the saliva of a dog? There are people, even in America itself here, where people talk a lot about hygiene, who would never share a spoon or plate with another human being. And the reason they don't do that is for hygiene purposes. But then why would anybody enjoy the saliva of a dog? Why? Why? So, then you have this confirmation by scientists or veterinarians that dog saliva often carries bacteria. And then I just told you how dogs often lick their noses to clean the mucus from their nose or whatever it is that's coming through, the dirt. That's how they clean themselves. But also there's another even more serious issue. And again, veterinarians have confirmed this. You can find articles all over, materials all over the internet, in bookstores and things like that. There's a veterinarian that I came across who said that dogs use their tongue as tissue. And it's true. The sheath of a male dog, the sheath. We know what the sheath is, right? That, it's always enclosed and it always produces secretions. So when the dog goes down there to clean itself, it's cleaning that secretion from its private parts. And human beings find it amusing to lick the tongue of a dog. This is why I'm asking, if you can lick the tongue of a dog or allow the dog to lick your tongue or your mouth, what else would you not allow that dog to do? A few days ago, I went to a park. And in this park, this is a park where people come with dogs from different places. And they put them in a fence. And then they can lock them up in there. They can play with other dogs, run around, and just for exercise. And the owners of the dogs sit on benches. They watch their dogs. And sometimes even make friendship. So where did you get your dog from? What's your dog's name? And things like that. They're just, kind of having, a good time there. And I stood there just to look at how the dogs were playing. And one of the things I picked up is the dogs were often urinating on the grass. So the dogs would be running up and down, so the dog would stop for a moment and pee somewhere or urinate somewhere or even poop. The dogs urinate and poop all over this grass. And then they run in that grass. All right? And even the owners of the dogs walk on that grass with their shoes. Okay? And then, so you've got all this dog poop and urine from different other dogs that your dog has now picked up by stepping on the grass. So it's got urine on its paws and everywhere. And then the dog goes into the bed with that person. So now, I don't know. Maybe the dogs are given a bath before they go to bed. I don't know. I know a lot of people bath their dogs, but how often? Because these dogs are often running on the ground where there's dog urine and dog poop every day. And then they get into bed with their people or with their owners. Again, for me, the issue there is hygiene. So what I've ended up thinking is, if people really can allow that, then anything is possible. That's just my thinking. And so I kind of feel like this situation where people end up in bestiality, and then bestiality is not something that people just do as a one-off thing and things like that. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes addictive. And one of the reasons is because it affects you psychologically, that you even get to a point where you can't have normal relations with human beings. That's what happens. And so that's why it's important to safeguard our kids. But you can imagine that now kids are being exposed to television images, visual images, where people are kissing dogs, licking dogs' mouths and things like that. And they're growing up thinking that that is normal. And to a certain extent, I start to suspect that the people that put these things on TV probably have a strategy. A strategy of, what's the word I'm looking for? Desensitization. To desensitize people that there's nothing wrong with that. So people keep seeing that and it just becomes normal. And so as people grow up, certain things that other people may suggest to do with dogs just becomes a normal thing. I mean, in America, I've heard of things like dog party. I was talking to a female friend of mine who has a daughter who is 18. And when she realized the point I was making, because initially she was arguing with everything I was saying, just like a lot of you are going to argue with a lot of the things that I've said here. She was arguing. But as soon as she started looking into the details, things to do with hygiene, she had a rethink. She said, you know what? I think you make a valid point. Especially after she heard of what is called dog party, where you have a party for dogs. What would dogs do at a party? And then so she called me one day and she said, imagine my daughter being invited to a dog party. My God, I don't want my daughter to go to one of those parties. Because after the things that have now been made aware of, no. Now, some of you might be thinking, no, you're going too far. There are countries in Europe. I know, is it Romania? There are countries in Europe that only recently made bestiality illegal. But for years, it's been normal for people to sleep with a dog. And in those countries, for most of the girls, the first time when they lose their virginity to a dog. This is how serious this thing is. And for some of us, this is good for us to know. Because some of us get into sexual lifestyles with people whose backgrounds we don't know. Especially those of us from Africa who have this misconception about white people being angels and clean and all of that. You need to look again and think again. I brought you a video. I did a video here where I featured a video of a white activist who is very active on social media, who has been talking against racism, and how he has said with proof that black people are the most moral people in the world. They are the moral high ground. And even when you look at the countries where bestiality is common or legal, or where there's a certain lifestyle with dogs that makes you kind of think, makes you feel creepy, it's usually countries where they are white people, the West. And if not, it's people that look like them. And this is very, very important to note. Now, please do not get it wrong. This is not by any means to say that black people never do anything like this. That's not what I'm saying here. The point I'm making is when you see these lifestyles, you will rarely see that it's black people. And if it's black people, it's in countries where they've adjusted to Western culture. Just like I told you the ad about this black person who wakes up and the dog is licking him all over, it's Westernization. And even when you go into Africa, when you find people doing things like this, they'll tell you it's Westernization of the people. These are Western lifestyles. Now, I don't know what this means, but the point here for me was to bring to our attention the issue of hygiene with regards to this lifestyle. And even when we talk about bestiality itself, the fact that we're going to have people like this in our communities who are indulging in bestiality and sleeping with kids in the communities, or dating, if you like. Because today dating, for me, dating now has become a code word for just sleeping around. Because people are always, they're dating this so and so, 2 months they're dating someone else, after 5 months they're dating someone else, and it just looks like dating is just sleeping around. I didn't say that's what it is, but when you look at how people date, where people are dating to just have an experience with that person, then have an experience with another person, that's the idea of dating. When that is the motive, dating is just a code word for sleeping around. But the point I'm making here is this, that you have people like that who have this lifestyle and they want to experiment with other human beings. In the West, I've even read stories where people actually have a threesome, married people have a threesome with a dog, or invite the dog to take part in the sex act. I've seen questions, some of these questions you even find them on the internet, where people write to an expert asking, is it okay for us to allow the dog to be in the bedroom when we're having sex? And me hearing that for the first time, I'm thinking, is that really a question to ask? And sometimes I think that people ask these kind of questions because they've already predetermined what they want, but they're just looking for somebody to justify their behavior. They've already decided what they want. They probably have even started getting into a certain lifestyle with a dog. But now they're looking for justification. They're looking for people to approve their behavior because they don't want condemnation or backlash. In the West, particularly in America, it's the first time ever in my life where I've seen skin disorders or skin diseases that I've never ever seen before. And I don't know if this is just a coincidence. But again, when you search online or just look at book materials, information on science, some scientists confirm that animals can actually transfer skin disorders to human beings. So when you find this lifestyle of living with dogs, doing certain things with dogs, and then you see how a lot of people in the West, and particularly in America, I see this every day, have skin disorders that you cannot understand. Is this just a coincidence? Is this just a coincidence? Let me hear what you think. Let's educate each other. This is for the purpose of education and creating awareness. I'll wait to hear from you. Have a wonderful day, and I'm sure as you go into your wonderful day, you'll be shaking your head at this news. But please do have a wonderful day. Have a good day. And as I always say, if you can't have a good day, then at least have a day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.